Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Workplace Wellness Hour. I am here with my amazing co-host, Sumana Jetty, where she is, and we are so happy to be back. We are back, and yes, that was a new intro. In case any of you noticed, that is not the final intro. That was the best version that we had for tonight's episode. But our friend Ashley Llewellyn has guided and flown her wings and flown the coop and has gone off to shine and do new things. And she's still going to be around. You might see her in the chat, and she might be back as a guest here and there. But she is somebody who we are just so excited to see all of her ventures start to come to fruition. So much so that she had to let some things go by the wayside so she had time to focus on other things that she's been chasing. So we are so happy and excited for her, and she will not be a stranger. But Suman and I are definitely here, and we're going to be here for the rest of season 4. And over the summer, we are going to be recruiting for the third new co-host of the Workplace Wellness Hour for season 5.
Woo! Season
Yeah.
5! Oh my god!
I've already had people asking me about it, Sumana. Can you believe that?
Oh my god! Really?
Yes. I was like shocked at how many people have already asked, and I was like, we haven't even decided yet. The only thing we decided is that we're going to do the rest of season 4, just you and I, which kind of is nostalgic. I don't know about you, but I feel
Yes.
like it's good.
It does feel good, Felipe. Great intro. I love it. It's you always make me laugh when I see these because I never see them. I see them live. Like one of these days, I'm gonna set up my camera so you can see my reaction to these intros. But it is
I would love to
nostalgic.
see that.
It's amazing. And I do feel like, especially after the weekend, with the astronauts coming home and the sense of like hope and renewal and just feeling like a good vibe. Yes, definitely sad to not have Ashley, but even just looking at our like graphic here, yeah, it does feel like the good old times when you and I were like, hey, let's do a show called Workplace Wellness Hour, like almost 4 years ago now. So, yes, good vibes. I feel good.
I do too. And I was just talking to Omar, who does Zoom Party. Many of you know him in the chat, and he was asking about how I started doing some of this, and I told him about the story about how you and I started back with my whole eye issue and how I was having issues with my eye in my car accident, and so it's amazing how far we've come. So I do want to say hello to people in the chat, and let me go ahead and make sure that people can see who's here now. Good old LinkedIn has changed some of this so that now it's a little bit more. Oh, come on, bring it back here. There we go. All right. And so I want to say hello to people who have already joined us because I really do. We all appreciate your time and you being here. It's great to see Lauren Sermon. I'll be talking to you tomorrow, I think. Let me know if you want to talk on Zoom or phone. It's great to see Kenny here as always, and Christy. Emron, it's been a while. It's great to see you, my friend. And of course, we have Jackie Hallberg, who has a show right after this. William Rochelle, who has a show all the time, except for when I think he has a show. Every time I think I'm right about his show, I'm wrong. So I need to get better about his calendar. And then Coach Carey, you had a great show the other day, gotta say. I love that you're calling in from India. And then Meryl Cass, it's always wonderful to see you. Thank you for always being that master communicator and connector for all of us. And Daniel Hall, a local Marylander in my own state who I've not seen in a long time, and we've never met in person. One of these days, we got to do that. And Leslie Flowers, great show this morning, Leslie. I love seeing you with Charles Caldwell and team, Deb Haas, and I forget the other person. Forgive me, but Leslie does so many shows. She does shows on mindfulness and has a show on Monday and Fridays. Check her out. Kenny Dunner is amazing, of course, and Lauren Sermon's another person. If you're not checking her out, she took a little bit of break from LinkedIn and she's back. And my guess is she's gonna be back like a powerhouse. So keep an eye on her. Charlie, thank you for joining us. And then Jay, it's great to see you joining us as always. Love that you were on that live the other day. And is it Ashraful? I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you for joining us from Bangladesh. And I think that was it. Oh, Leah Garcia has joined us, and Gregory Liverpool. Oh, and Josette. So we've got a full house, y'all, tonight. Listen, do me a favor. go ahead and share the room with your friends that are going on live so that they can join us and benefit from hearing it live along with all of you all. We're going to invite you up on stage pretty soon. But before we do, Simone and I are going to do some quick introductions and then tell a little bit about why this topic, we decided to do this topic here of turning well-being into that competitive advantage and being able to drive performance, profit, and retention with your workplace. So, Sumana, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what was it about this topic that appealed to you.
You know this already about me. I read a lot. I was reading all kinds of things. I was trying to keep up with the news. I was trying to keep up with research, and definitely read the latest from the World Economic Forum. And this was, I believe, that the title of their latest, which was released on April 1st. And I think as we're moving into the second quarter of 2026. I want to talk about this from a few different lenses. More from I think I've been thinking more from the implementation part of it. I feel like a lot of workplaces and leaders, individuals joining us live as well. I think we get it. We've been talking about it for several years now. Like, we get what well-being is. We get that it's a competitive advantage. But now I think what I want to shift the conversation, Felipe, with you, and I'd love to know what your Felipe's 5 is, but I'm kind of thinking the gap here is more the implementation of this really amazing well-being in the workplace. So that's kind of what excited me when I read the article, and then yes, that's where I'm at. That's where I'll stop.
Did you introduce yourself?
Oh, I did not do that.
Let's try that.
We've already lost the plot after Ashley left. We're already like, we don't know what we're talking about. Welcome, folks. I'm so sorry I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Sumana Jetty. I actually wanted to change my profile photo because I did have a new photo that I wanted to put up, my new headshot. Anyways, Sumana Jetty calling from Calgary, Alberta. Really happy to be here. I have a company called Jetty Wellness. We are a corporate well-being, evidence-based consulting firm, and we are very interested in taking research and simplifying that research and teaching managers, leaders, and individuals like yourselves who are joining us what well-being is. So not the woo-woo stuff, the strategic stuff, the stuff that you can apply, and the stuff that is sticky learning. So that's what I do. Really happy to be here. I'll pass it over to Felipe to introduce himself first. Let's start there. Let's start there.
All right. Well, thank you, Sumana. My name is Felipe Cofino, and I am the founder of Cofino Consulting, where I do offer HR services such as career coaching, executive coaching, training on topics from everything from leadership, communication, to sales and service, to leadership, and everything in between. And I also provide recruiting services where I help you find the best candidates for your job. So if any of that appeals to you, feel free to scan a QR code. I also do HR audits if anyone needs to have an audit done of their HR team. Friendly audit, of course, one to help them be better. But in addition to that, I am been an HR exec for 30 years, and I continue to do that. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. Cofino Consulting really was something that I was originally going to start for retirement, but during the pandemic and during a job where pay got cut a little bit during some economical challenges, they encouraged us to go out and make some money. So Cofino Consulting got launched a little bit earlier than planned. But along with that, I am passionate about doing stuff here on LinkedIn with people like Sumana Jetty. I love doing workplace wellness. I'm glad we've been doing it for 4 seasons. I also have a show that I do with Melissa Houston for Careers Chaos and Coaching every other Sunday. And next Sunday, we're going to be tackling the issue all about and all around how people are using AI almost to a fault, in the sense that they're misrepresenting themselves. They look so good on paper, but when they get hired for the job, yeah, you know what they said on paper, they really couldn't produce. And that's a challenge that's happening with AI hiring right now. So we're going to be talking about that, if that appeals to you. And then I would be remiss if I did not mention, of course, Sister Saturday Chat every Saturday at 12 noon. And then I am also a international best-selling author of The Backyard Adventures of Miranda and Max, which is out in English and Spanish on Amazon. And feel free to check that out. That QR code is right here, just in case you want to check it out. Because I am working on the second book of the series, which is Brady and Lucky the One-Eyed Cat. So feel free to check out this book. It has a video that goes along with it and a new coloring book as well. All right. Outside of that, if you want to see some of our past episodes, or if you want to be kind enough to follow me on YouTube, that's where I do store and house all of the podcast and video streams that I do. So I would love for you to subscribe there, because there you can find the playlist for our podcast that we do here every other Monday. All right, with that being said, that was a really long intro, but this topic here, Simona, I am so glad that you chose it, because it really resonated with me so much. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with the same thing. And it's one of those things where, you know, that I'm passionate about wellness in the workplace, but I was using it as a competitive advantage 5 years ago, and I felt like it was the best kept secret. And when I tried to share it, people were like, oh, that's too much work. And now people are starting to see the benefits and the lights of it. So I'm excited about talking about this, and especially how you implement it, because that's the part that, let's just say, takes a lot of patience, a lot of time, and commitment. So with that being said, let's dive. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say a couple people who are saying that LinkedIn's crashing. Honestly, it's crashing on my end too. And typically, I also restream to my LinkedIn page and my YouTube channel, but for whatever reason, it didn't let me do that today. So we're only streaming on Felipe's YouTube channel, which I posted. Coach Carrie, I posted that link for you. So maybe you want to join from YouTube. That might work. But for me, I was unable to restream to my LinkedIn and my YouTube. So we're live on Felipe's main event page and Felipe's YouTube page if people are finding that LinkedIn's crashing. I don't really know what's going on there.
All right. And I just posted the YouTube in the chat there as well again. Yeah, LinkedIn's been very choppy lately. I don't know what's been happening. I've been going to people's YouTube pages a lot lately. But all right. Well, listen, let's get into this so we can invite you up on stage and have you join the conversation. So real quick, going into Felipe's 5 about turning well-being into a competitive edge and driving performance, profit, and retention. All right. The first thing here that I'm going to talk about real simply is measuring well-being. And we talked about that, and it sounds very easy, but you know, if you go to the article, and the article is in the post about from the World Economic Forum, because it does talk a lot about this here, but managing well-being like performance, you know, it's putting some metrics around it, saying, hey, this is what is expected of you as an employee of this organization. There's two things that send that message. One, it sends that you care, but two, you want to have a healthy team. And when you add, whether it's a KPI or whatever it is to it, it adds a little bit more seriousness in the workplace. If you're like, are you actually going to measure my wellness? Well, yeah, because we care enough and we want you to be healthy when you work here and not hurt yourself, not have any problems, and make sure that you're able to show us the best version of you so that you can get promoted. And I think that's a mindset that when you put it that way, both sides can see it. But data on engagement, burnout, attrition, and sick days reveal where stress is hurting productivity and where to invest. And the biggest place to invest is setting up well-defined wellness programs that help reduce turnover, improve engagement scores. And so one of the things that I always say is tie incentives to well-being, because that's probably the number one thing that's going to get people to get off their butts and do something about their wellness, is that you incentivize them. It might be with time off. It might be with financial incentives like money. It might be a discount on their insurance. And I'll tell a story about that in a little bit. But Sumana, what are your thoughts about measuring well-being?
Oh, come on. You're talking to a person that loves data and measurement and just everything to do with how do we make informed decisions. Measuring well-being, I believe, is a fantastic strategy to move from that this is workplace well-being to how do we implement workplace well-being. So I know you have your Felipe's 5. The only piece I'll add here, Felipe, because I have only 3 things I wanted to kind of talk about, and I'll just tie in those pieces to your pieces as and when I feel like it blends in. But for I think for this measurement piece, where my brain was going was again not thinking about measuring the ins and outs of the individual, making them feel like we're micromanaging them. I've been talking to a lot of people about workload issues being one of the predictors of burnout, and loss of control is also one of the predictors of burnout. So when we talk about the actual workload, the prescribed workload, and the perceived workload, they all mean different things. One's the job that was given to you, one is how you feel about your job, and the other is the actual job you end up doing, which is most of the times higher than what the job description is. What I'd like to maybe leave the folks here to think about is when we think about measuring well-being, I don't just want the managers or the workplace to just measure like the volume of the work that individuals are doing, not just about the tasks and project. I also want you to pay attention to like how well, like what is their intensity of their work, because we talk a lot about burnout being like this hidden thing. A lot of us are very good at like hiding burnout. It starts to creep in. So pay attention to like the intensity of the person, like how fast or slow are they working. Pay attention to how unpredictable they've become, because one thing I've said a lot in these last 4 years with these conversations with Felipe is that a lot of the times people going through burnout will start to behave unpredictably, not their usual behaviors, the subtle behaviors that we start to notice, like they're maybe coming to work a little bit late, maybe they're not submitting their work assignments on time. So start measuring unpredictability, start measuring the pace of their work, start measuring how reactive they are maybe in certain meetings, like what are they interrupting you during conversations with their manager? Are they switching, their jobs really quickly and not really performing at a level that they usually do? So that's where I want you to think about when I'm thinking about measuring well-being. Think think about those things that we usually don't think about, and not your usual, oh, how many days was this person absent or present. We've measured absenteeism, we've measured presenteeism. Let's drill down a little bit further and measure some of these other things that I've kind of mentioned. So that's where I'll stop for this one, Felipe.
All right, I love that you shared all that, and I will say one of the things you talked about earlier was how can workplaces implement this. I'm going to give, as we go through these, I'm going to give you a story, basically a storyboard of how you can do this. And to start off is to Shwana's point, you can't force people to do things they don't want to do. But one of the things that we talked about is incentivizing them, and doing that with a point system is how I found the most success. So, for example, you have to get 500 points a year in order to get 25% off your insurance premium every month for the rest of next year. Well, 25% off my monthly insurance premium every month for the entire year is a huge incentive. Getting 500 points, how hard is that? Well, to give you an idea, if you get your annual physical, it's only 100 points. It's 100 points. Well, that's a lot. But there are some things that we are going to require. We require the annual physical because we want people to get over the fear of getting themselves checked out regularly. We want them to volunteer. That's one of the things you can do to get points at least once a year. We want them to get their biometrics or their blood drawn to make sure they're checking their cholesterol and all those things, which usually happens at the annual physical, by the way. And then we offer financial one-on-ones through our financial brokers that handle our retirement funds, and they offer confidential one-on-ones where they don't share anything with the employer to help them manage their finances and prepare for retirement or whatever their goals they have financially. Those are not bad things to require. The rest, so right there, if they did those 4 things, they would have already 250 points. The other 250 points, they can pick and choose. Going to your eye doctor, doing exercise regularly, going to your dentist, going to your OBGYN, whatever it is. You have like a list of like 100 things you can do to get points that affect your mental, physical, and financial wellness. That's a way to start implementing it is make it a program that's easy, trackable, and has an incentive. All right. Number two is build wellness into work. This is be a quick one here because this is about making it part of the culture, about embedding it into the day to day to make sure that people have the time during the workday to do these things. That's where I think it's so much. Oh, do it on your own time. You know what? If this is something that you're invested in the workplace, you're going to be okay with people doing it while they're at work or on work time. And that's one of the things is offer that flexibility so that people don't burn out by trying to do more. You're trying to show, excuse me, you're trying to show them about wellness. Well, they need to have balanced workloads and be able to have time to be able to do these things that are for their wellness. And if they don't, then they're going to burn out. So establish recovery norms, like no email periods or mandatory breaks for everyone, and just have people share their ideas of how they can get creative with wellness and encourage people to do things as teams. Simona, what are your thoughts about this? Because the culture part is a big part for me.
Yeah, the culture part, I mean, that's your whole brand. Like, I love that. Like, where, again, let's talk about implementing. I like the theory of this. Let's talk a little bit about how would we implement this. My brain automatically, when you were speaking, kind of went into the space of how often, that we're talking still about measurement here, just in some ways, like how often are we getting, if you want to build wellness into your workday, how many emails and Slack messages and Teams messages are you getting way past your work hours? And I know some industries, there's no such thing as like, if it's no such thing as 9 to 5, people are usually working 9 to 9. But how many of these messages are popping up in your Teams messages at like 2 o'clock in the morning? I've seen a few leaders in a few consulting places that I've been able to observe where managers and leaders are sending Teams messages at 3 a.m., at 4 a.m., at these really odd times. And obviously, some anxious bodies, who, including myself, who sometimes don't sleep, if I have Teams on my phone and if I see a message from my boss at that time, I'm likely to react to that message, even though there's no action required for me to do. My brain goes, why are you sending a message at 4 a.m.? Funny story, when we asked the leader the question, the answer back was, well, I'll send you a message at whatever time I feel like sending. You don't have to read it. You can turn off your notifications. That to me is not building wellness into work. I don't know, Felipe, what you think about that, but leadership needs to be positioning or playing the part of what it means to build wellness into work. So if I'm getting 2 a.m. messages and then the leader just says, well, you can ignore them, that's the opposite of building wellness into work.
Well, and so here's where I don't often disagree, and I wouldn't say disagree. That's a strong word.
Oh, you're going to disagree with me? Okay,
I'm actually going to disagree with you, and here's why. Because I've recently worked for I used to work for a global company, then I worked for more local national company, and then I worked for a global company again. And one of the things the CEO said to me was, I care about my employees' wellness and I want them to burn out, but I have employees in 6 different time zones. So no matter when I send an email, it's going to be during off times for one of my employees. So what I do is I put down at the end of every email, and he had it as part of his signature line, I'm sending this email when it's best for me. Reply when it's best for you. Now, it's easy to say that, but he actually meant it and practiced it. And that's why I say, if you're dealing with different time zones, you may not have a choice in some cases, or it might be really difficult. So put it in there and mean it. And don't ever question, why didn't you reply to my email until 6 hours after I sent it? That immediately negates all that. So I do think that there's value in doing that if it's national and locally.
Yes.
But I do think that there's some exceptions to that rule. So that's why I disagree. I don't just totally disagree.
No, that's a great point. I love that, because you're right. For international companies, that makes sense. I mean, I myself have ambassadors who are in Europe, who are in West Africa. And I know that my emails that I send at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. my time show up at their inbox at the weirdest time. And I obviously don't expect them to reply back. When I'm talking about a local company where we're just a local team, we're all working in mountain time, and if the leaders are sending these stressful messages of things that are either a memo or something we have to action on, I think for local teams, without that caveat that you mentioned, that may not set the
No,
building
and that's
work.
a whole nother discussion of, does the leader have the emotional intelligence to know when's the best time to send this email that's not going to be great news? You
Yep.
don't want to send it right before a holiday or a weekend, So
Yep.
yeah, so you make up a lot of points there. We could have
Love
a whole
that.
discussion just on this topic alone, probably. Now, I said to you all, I'm gonna keep on giving you a little tips on how to implement this. Here's an example of how you implement this. Okay, I mentioned no emails, and we mentioned all those examples, but here's another example: wellness challenges. You get people to do wellness challenges and say, hey, you get extra points towards your 500 points, which people want. If you do a 3 to 4 of you get on team, and you have to do a video of how you implement wellness into your daily workday at work. And we're going to have the employees vote on it, and the winners get first, second, and third place get $100, $50 each, $25 each. Now, again, it might be different prizes, but here's the thing. That implementation of doing stuff like that and other different challenges, walking challenges, it could be any kind of stuff, it gets them having fun. It gets them competitive, which is friendly competition, which we'll talk about leadership engaging in a minute. But here's the other part. We haven't talked about how is this a competitive edge in the workplace? Well, I'm going to tell you. Guess what I did with some of those videos? Got permission from the employees, of course, saying, hey, make sure your camera ready, because I like to post these videos on YouTube and showcase what we do here in the workplace. They say, okay, great. When I do interviews, when I was doing interviews for that specific location I'm talking about right now, and I would be on Teams, I would share my screen and I'd say, hey, I'm going to show you some examples of things that we do here, because you really don't know me as an interviewer. So I can say that it's a great place to work, but I'd rather have you see it. So as I said, here's, we talk about teamwork. We're very teamwork oriented, and we focus on wellness. Here's some videos of wellness challenges. And I play the wellness video in the background. And then we talk about, how we get engaged and get creative, and how we give back to the community, and show them how we do cooking videos. And we're doing a visual cookbook for our community. And then we talk about the people that we promoted and how we celebrate them. All these videos showing how invested we were in our employees. I will tell you, I didn't ever walk away from those interviews saying, God, I want that person so badly to work here. They walked away saying, I want to work there so badly. It looks like an amazing place to work. And I wasn't lying, because I was showing them the proof. That's the competitive edge, is showing that people want, and I can tell you, at other places I've interviewed for, I didn't get that kind of responses. I also didn't have that kind of videos to show. So that's the part of the competitive edge that I wanted to touch on. All right, the third one here, make safety foundational. We've heard about workers' comp goals, probably. You've heard, especially if you've been around for a while, people used to have goals of how many days without an accident you can have, especially if you were in a high industry like construction or work in the kitchen and restaurant. That was a really big thing to track, because workers' comp was very expensive. But when you made it fun about safety, when you made it a competition about, all right, who can get the highest score on the safety audit that the safety committee is going to do, which we had in the hotel industry. Not every place I worked had a safety committee, but this place did. And they'd go around and check the safety of the areas of the hotel, exit signs, blocking exits, slippery floors, whatever it was. And so when you make safety a foundation and you actually tie it to their performance, saying, hey, you know what? You had 2 accidents. One wasn't your fault, but one was because you were messing around and throwing a football in the workplace, and it knocked down a paint tray and it hit you in the head. That was your own fault. That's not safety. You got to make sure they realize that you care about it, not just because of the cost of the company, because you don't want them to get hurt. Simona, what are your thoughts?
I love it. I mean, this is incredible. And this actually ties into what I wanted to kind of share, which is a safety thing, but more the support, um, um, the support that we get from our workplace. I know you and I, Felipe, we think the same. I am a huge advocate of when I go to work, I want to feel like I'm safe in the environment, but I also want to feel like I have people that I can lean on. And what a lot of workplaces are really good at is they are very good at, building this awareness. And I've noticed this through literature. I've noticed this through all the work I've done with Jetty Wellness. We're really good at building awareness that we have safety, we have psychological safety, and we have social support available. But I think where they drop the ball is more the enabling and the activation of these elements. So I would like to see an extra piece added to turning well-being into competitive advantage, and that would be to become very, very specific. Who is helping who? I think not only who is helping who, but who is helping this person when. I think that enablement, that flow needs to be really clear. So there is clear backup, there's clear contingency. And from the HR lens, I'd love to hear from you, because most of the times what I feel like is the ownership is never shared. It's usually there's a person. If Sumana is not available to work, the whole place is going to fall apart. So there's usually some kind of like a single point of failure that tends to happen, and there's no contingency. Either way, it all falls on the leader and the leader's burning out, or it all falls on this one team lead, and that's where that fracture happens. So I want to see how those contingencies are created. So that definition needs to be really clear. So building a bit of that cross training. So we're have multiple people kind of doing that same task. So we feel safe that, hey, if I don't show up to work, if I'm feeling like I'm off my game, I know someone else or another person can also cover for me. So I wanted to kind of share that. And the other piece about how do I really now change this awareness piece. Now I've created enablement. Now I want to really make sure I'm activating. This is honestly what you and I have talked about a lot, is like, can I feel safe to say to you, Felipe, if you were my boss, can I say, I'm feeling like my capacity and my capability are not the same. You came to my session, last month, and I talked to you about the difference between the two. Can I use like a hashtag on Teams or Slack and say, hashtag like I'm off my capacity is not, it's my capacity is low, my capability is high. Who do I need to help? Can we use some kind of a flagging system? Like, who do I need to go to? And is it safe for me to even ask for help without feeling like people are going to judge me? So I'll stop there.
No, it's a perfect segue into the next part. And I love Jay's comment where he said safety is a top priority, not competitive. And that's true when it comes, especially in the industries like construction, window cleaners. Oh my gosh, I mean, safety is a huge priority, top notch. Now, number 4 leads us into this. I think example is lead by example. Here's where top leaders have to set the example and show that it's important, because if they show that it's important and take it seriously, their teams are more likely to do it. And I've seen it time and time again. I will say this: hypocrisy kills culture and credibility. I'm going to say it again. Hypocrisy kills culture and credibility, because the leaders who sit there and say, "Oh yeah, we're supposed to do it," and then don't do it, guess what? People are going to see that they're not doing it, and they're going to follow suit. And you're not going to get the commitment, and it's going to kill the culture of, we actually do care. No, it's just a check mark. We don't have to really do it. It's an HR thing. So leaders are the first ones that have to set the example. And when I say leaders, I'm not talking about the execs alone. I'm talking about department heads, supervisors, team leads, uh, natural leaders in the group, in the project, all of you, because this is the part where this is what sets it in stone. This is what makes it truly part of the culture and not a wellness program. And this where I get an example of this: our CEO, when we did the walking challenges, or did the jogging challenges, or did the video challenges, he would talk smack. He'd be like, "Well, I've got my 10,000 steps today. It looks like no one else on the app has gotten any steps in today. Wow, you are just taking it easy, aren't you? Must be nice to win a prize as a CEO. I guess no one's going to beat me. He would keep on going and going and just, and it'd be the point where like, I want to shut him up. I'm going to beat him just to shut him up. And he did that on purpose because he knew people would get agitated, and he did, and people weren't scared of him, which was a key thing. So leading by example, using HR metrics is a great thing, but all the leaders have to show that it's valuable and that wellness is part of the environment, not just a project. So, Mana, what are your thoughts?
No, nothing to add. Just, leaders, be okay. I've been thinking a lot about the drivers of burnout, workload being one of them, lack of control being another one of them, lack of support being another one of it. I want leaders to feel comfortable to also allow that sense of safety so that if I'm being led by a team and my leader says, it's okay, Sumana, I'm giving you permission to set your boundaries. I'm giving you permission to say no. I need to feel that. And I need to see that you as a leader are also doing that so that I can learn and observe and feel that sense of safety from you. So that's all I have to say for that one.
All right. And, so who was it that, Emron said safety goals are a part of organizational goals. And absolutely, because it is hard to set them as a goal, but when you do, here's the magic part. Set safety as a goal, saying, let's reduce accidents in your area if you can. Let's participate in wellness programs, and let's make sure you have at least one safety activity for your employees once a quarter. Well, then tie some of those things. Hey, if they do a safety activity quarterly, they get points for the wellness program. If they participate in certain wellness programs, they get points themselves. So by tying it to their goals, but also saying, hey, we're going to give you fun opportunities to help you meet your goals on your performance evaluation, because your goal of, doing one safety activity a quarter to help you get that increase, you also can get points for it to help you get a decrease on your insurance. So you can get, do you see the big picture here? When you step back and look at the whole organization and see how you can tie things together to incentivize them, but also motivate them, that's where that competitive edge comes, because all of a sudden these people are talking about, not only did I meet my goals, I had fun. They're like, what do you mean you had fun? Like, oh yeah, we have these challenges and it helped me get my goals. And so that's the part that people start talking about the workplace. You're showing it on YouTube. You're talking about in interviews. People start seeing it as a great place to work. All right, number 4 or number 5, and last one. Use AI as an ally. Okay, I'll be short and sweet with this one because we have some people in the green room. This is what I'm going to say about AI. I've always said it before. Use it as a tool. Don't let it replace you, because if you use it to replace you, then don't be surprised when it replaces your job. And that's one of the topics I'm going to be talking about on my other show, because people are using AI to a point where it writes their entire cover letter and they don't even know what they said in that cover letter, and they send it off and it looked great. Oh, wow, you said you can do this and you're bilingual. And they're like, oh shit, I'm not bilingual. Well, guess what? You told them that you love Spanish and you took Spanish and you speak some Spanish. So the AI took that and ran with it. And now you're in a situation. Here, what I'm talking about is different. Use AI as a tool. And here's the big part. If you don't hear anything else about this on AI, hear this. Use AI as a tool to help people save time in their day-to-day tasks. Find those redundant tasks, those time-consuming tasks of drafting up contracts, and let AI help you with some of that, and just focus on the details and make sure that the final products are right. And then don't give them extra work to fill up that time that they are saving. And don't let them say, oh, now I can do more on this project. No, the reason you're doing this is so that you can take a break and focus on your wellness. So whether that's going to take a walk, doing something with the wellness program, taking a break and just, checking out a video, but use AI as an ally. Don't use it as an opportunity to make them work harder. Sumana, your thoughts?
I Yes, I think everything you've said is 100% correct. I'm not sure how medium or large size organizations, I know everyone's been talking about implementing AI in their systems. I know we have Microsoft. What is it? What are the what is the AI tool in Microsoft? I'm forgetting the name of it.
Well, there's Claude, there's OpenAI,
Not Gemini, the one that Microsoft
Claude.
uses. Not okay, yeah, Claude, exactly. And all the other bigger organizations, I think we get it. People know that AI is available, but I think where we're lacking is not being able to use it as a, just like you said, we're not using it as a tool. We're just using it as, hey, let's just like ask it a bunch of questions, and we're not really training it well. From like the workload perspective or the social support perspective or the control perspective, I think the best way to use AI to implement well-being, especially from a leadership level, would be maybe just to ask it to analyze some data, ask it to identify like, what am I seeing in my Slack messages that can give me some behavioral cues or some indicators for burnout or well-being. Maybe that's a good place to start, is using AI as a tool to identify the cracks in your organization. If there's a way to determine that, I think that'll be a great kind of first step. Maybe also figuring out a way, because I always say to organizations, you should try to measure strategically through pulse surveys how your team is doing, and that an AI could definitely do that. Maybe every so often, every couple of days, or maybe once a day, or once on the middle of the week, you ask AI to send out a survey that collects a key piece of data that might be very, very helpful to identify what's happening with my company's workload, what's happening with the sense of autonomy in my company, and are we noticing any issues with support or safety. Like, those are some of the real implementation ways that we can use AI to implement well-being. So don't just ask it to write you a cover letter. I hate that. I think we can all write a cover letter, folks. Come on, we've all written cover letters before, but it is possible to use AI in some strategic spaces. Using what
So
we already have.
I'm gonna slightly share a different viewpoint with what you just said, which is going to be very ironic coming from the HR recruiter guy.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Is some people are not good at writing cover letters. They just are not. I've read so many that it's been painful. Where I'm like, I wish you hadn't written it and
Oh, did I lose you?
just horrible percent of how you write. Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
And so I've read so many cover letters that I wish sometimes people had never submitted them because they were written so poorly. So I always tell people, do me a favor, take the job description, take your resume, have it say, write a cover letter addressing some of the things in the job description that I mentioned in my resume that I have skills in, and then go through it and take out anything that's not 100% accurate, tweak it, like look at it with like a fine tooth comb, because if you're asked to do it, you better be able to do it. And then that to me is okay for some people, because some people who like to write, like, no, I want to write. I'm proud of writing my cover letters. Good, write them. Some people need the help. So I will say, but the problem is some
It
people
has to
submit it.
sound it has to sound like that person, Felipe. Like,
Well, here's the
I
thing.
still want them to write at least a draft, so I get a sense of like, what is your tone? What is your vocabulary? What level English are we writing? And at least let's start there. So
Okay,
you're not
that's that. Okay,
using.
so that's a great point, and then that's something that I actually. So I've always written all my drafts for everything that I ever put into AI, but AI now knows how I write, to the point where it asks me, do you want me to be a little bit shorter and maybe a little more humorous, like in your Felipe style? And I'm like, no, let me change it and then put it back in there to polish it maybe. But it's one of those things where you're right. That is the best advice, actually. Write a draft, no matter how bad it is, and then add the job description and your resume and say, polish up my cover letter based on this job description and my resume to polish it up. And the word polish is key. You don't want them to rewrite your entire cover letter. You want, when you say polish, it keeps your tone more, and it doesn't take away the the Sumana-ness or the Felipe-ness of it.
Yes. The one other thing I'll add, Felipe, that I know this is not about cover letter, and I'll just say one thing before we move on to Bill, who's waiting to chat with us. When we when you're right, if you're not a writer, and if you don't like writing, that's not a skill that comes naturally to you. You can use AI, because a lot of the times when I write a good cover letter, or when I'm teaching someone to write a cover letter, I want to see like your strength in some kind of a story. I want to see something in your resume that is in your cover letter, that is adding to an element that, if you say to me, I was able to do I was able to retain 95% of my employees through this project. Tell me how you did that, because maybe I can see that 95% ROI in your resume, because it's written in third person. But when you write your cover letter in first person, tell me the story of how you did it. And the easiest and quickest trick for AI to learn your tone is to speak to it. Use that little microphone button and speak to it like you would speak to me or to Felipe, and then it learns your tone, because you're not going to use words like robust or strategic if that's not a word that you're used to. Maybe you'll use a different word. So speaking to it, if you don't like writing, is a good way to train this machine to sound more like you, and add a bit of that humanness, add a little bit of that storytelling element, so that not every letter starts off with "I'm writing to express my interest in this company." Maybe you write something else. Maybe you start your letter by saying, "I'm really passionate about helping people learn about well-being because I'm a data scientist." I don't know. That's probably how I would write my letter. So
No, but
just a little tip.
that's the point. I think is because as a recruiter, I can tell when people have used AI and not looked at it, because it does start off almost identical or has the same messaging of "I'm interested in this position because I saw blah blah blah." I'm like, okay, when I see the same verbiage used over and over again, it's very telling. And that's why it's so important that drafting, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's how it does learn. The voice thing is another great way. Talking to it, it does learn how you speak. And you want it to learn that. And that's really important, because when it polishes it up, it doesn't take away your words and replace it with the AI words that it likes to use, like robust and stuff like that. So I'm really glad you brought that up. I just the final thought on this here, I just want to share really quickly here. Let's see if this opens up. Was simply that because the future of work isn't just about results, it's about how the people deliver them. And when we deliver them with a healthy mind, healthy body, and financially healthy, we end up being a little bit more productive in the long run. All right. So with that being said, let's get back here to to this here. All right. Well, so now I'm going to go to this format, and we have Bill Rochelle on the stage with us. Bill, it's great to see you, my friend. How are you? What are your thoughts on this topic? The mic is yours.
I'm good. There was a lot of static a minute ago. I'm not sure which one it was coming from. But this topic is really great, and I was going to touch on one thing, and I want to touch on three.
Bill, just
So
hear the static's coming from you, actually.
it's what?
There's a little bit, the static's coming from you a little bit. Your mic's a little staticky. I don't know if you're able to play around with the mic a little bit, but just so you know.
Yeah, I don't know, because I can hear it when you talk. Does it still sound really staticky?
Yeah, from Bill, from your microphone, yeah, definitely it's coming through as staticky, but let's just
Okay,
go with it. Let's just, yeah, I can still hear you.
it's okay. I'll try back later.
No, Bill, go ahead. Bill, go ahead now. It's fine. All right. Well, Bill's been. All right. Well, wait for Bill to come back. Gregory, please unmic and let us know your thoughts. The mic is yours.
Yeah. Number 5, AI. I just got a mention in regards to your thing for Sunday. I'm going to probably be very, very biblical on that type of topic that you have on Sunday. But in regards to, I will say wellness, I will say I think that we need to, if you're showing signs of burnout, that's basically in the HR in me. That's a red flag that we need to basically recruit a lot more talent to get more talent in our organization to cure that corresponding burnout or exhaustion of corresponding members of your organization. Some people might not want to do that, but that's basically a cry for help and assistance in regards to that nature. And in regards to, I will say, in terms of overall communication of that nature, I basically said what I said a couple months ago. I have a focus installed on my phone to not look at any type of emails past 8 p.m. Central Time in regards to that nature and stuff. So and that's like one of my quote unquote wellness rules du jour and stuff. So yeah, and on top of that, so that's my 2 cents. I'll leave the AI talk for Sunday.
Okay.
Give you a little primer. So yeah, so
Well, I hope that you do come to that because I think that'll be a good conversation. And you brought this up before, Gregory, and the fact that you put the focus time on your phone, which brings up a really good point. If your organization encourages people, put a focus time on your calendar so you can focus and do your work without interruptions. When that's welcomed and encouraged, that really sends a message. When people are afraid to do that because they think it looks bad, then it's going to never be done. But when your CEO does it and other people do it in leadership, it sends that message that, hey, we all need our time. It's okay to do this. And that's, again, leadership has got to set that example. And Greg, I'm glad that you do it because I'm sure the people that work around you appreciate that. Sumano, your thoughts?
I don't have much to say. I think I will hold my time for others.
Well, introduce Marcia then.
Okay, yes. Hi, Marcia. How are you? Nice to see you. Welcome.
Good evening. What's happening? Um, I'm gonna be brief because I came in late, so I apologize. But you know what, Felipe, I came in on number three talking about safety, and we came back from a holiday, and it was a bullet hole in our window, in our where in the front of the building where the security officers sit and let in customers. It was a bullet hole, and I said it's a bullet hole. You know what I was told? Oh, it was probably New Year's Eve. And I'm thinking, baby, how in the TF you gonna be safe? How do you really, feel that you're safe? It's deep. And I came into Felipe when you said lead by example, and I was just having that conversation with somebody this morning, just on that topic, and how you think people feel when you ain't leading the way you should be leading. It's it's deep. And I had a conversation with my CEO last week in person, just to, have that conversation with her. And she's clueless. And it's like I got in my car and I'm like, she's really clueless. She really don't know what's really happening. And the fact that, like you said, well, why don't you, because we have so many different sites, we just not everybody's not in one place. Why don't you just try to holler somebody at least once a month? How you doing? Check in. Ain't no check-in or nothing, or anything. No type of check-in. They try to put out some little BS stuff for, oh, this is April, this is this month, this is that month. I've just decided I'm just gonna do my job and go home. What you say, Samantha checked out? I'm really mentally checked out. And babe, it's what it is. I do my thing and go home because again, I just think about the other positive things that I had beyond them. And at my last hotel, Felipe, we had a wellness incentive. If you got so many points, we got $250 pre-tax. Babe, you know I was winning. Cause I mean, it's no problem for me because I do all of that because I'm competitive and I'm in it to win it. I'm gonna get this money. I'm getting that green, like that part. That's it, everybody. Thank you for your time.
I love it. I love the playfulness. I love it. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to be checked out, because it allows us to like really like focus on what's important to us and our well-being. Regarding your comment about when leaders appear to be kind of clueless. I've seen that. There's two. I've been thinking about how to answer it in two ways. I think the easiest way for me to answer it would be to relate it back to our January blog content, which was on feedback. So we can start to teach leaders some real time feedback strategies through that framework that I was teaching, which is reaction, relationships, content, and coaching. R2C2 is the feedback approach. So when leaders seem clueless, I always like to give them something easy to remember, something that they can build on. Is it safe for me to talk? What happens when I talk? What information is being shared? And what can I see after this feedback changes, that evaluation piece. So if leaders are being clueless, I think we should lean on feedback. That's all I have to say. Felipe?
Marcia, I just always appreciate when you come up here because you're so real. And that bullet hole, all right, first of all, I don't care what your company is. You got a bullet hole in your building. You got to address that. And, maybe people need to go home for the day, depending on how serious it was. When I worked in banking during the January 6th riots, there were bullet holes in the branch that we had on New York Avenue. We closed that branch. Those employees did not work that day. We made sure that they were okay. We offered them, and they weren't there when it happened, but still, the fact that they were right in the center of DC where all of it was happening, they were still nervous, and their families were nervous. So we gave them options for talking to mental health professionals. We asked them if they were okay still working there, if they wanted to take a break and work in a different branch. The CEO went down to visit. I went down to visit. He went down to visit a couple of times throughout the week just to make sure that they're okay. That's the kind of leadership, and that's what you deserved, Marcia, and what they should have done. Because leaders, I had one leader that when I worked in a different banking industry, and he didn't care about the employees. He had 7 kids, I think it was 7 or 8 kids. He had a lot of kids, and one of them interned in HR with me. And I remember that there had been vandalism and a bullet hole in one of our branches there. And he's like, they're used to it. They'll be fine. It's the banking industry. It's what we deal with. And I said, really? Because when your daughter had a shooting that was in a different dorm, you flew out of here and drove down there without even thinking twice. So are you saying that someone else's kids aren't as important as your kids? And it was something that made him wake up a little bit. He was like, okay, fine, I get it. You're right. It's not that simple. But when you get used to it as a leader or in an industry, you're like, oh, that's just the industry. I'm used to it by now. Not everyone's like you. And you got to remember what it's like coming into that industry and remember what's important. So I'm so glad you brought that up because that is so crucial. And I will say 2 other things real quick before we wrap up here is that thank you, Coach Carey. It was Copilot that was through Microsoft, not Claude. and Kenny, I hope you were joking because I know that you know who Claude and Gemini and Copilot are. And Sumana, this one's for Jay, who's in the chat. When you said R2C2, we both were thinking R2D2. Sorry, it just.
I knew it. I've had a couple people talk about that. That's so funny. I love that.
That's a little shout out to Jay because I know he was thinking that.
That's hilarious.
Bill, I told Bill, I sent Bill a message to come back, and he hasn't come back yet. So I don't know if he will be coming back. But Sumana, this has definitely been a good topic. Let us know in the chat if you think that we should talk about one piece of this topic and build on it. If you want us to talk about different topics, we always want to hear from you. Let us know, because your thoughts and ideas really do add to this room. But Sumana, any final thoughts and what you have coming up?
Yes, I think I want to talk about what we have coming up for the end of the month with our guest speaker. So I'm going to find her LinkedIn, Patty Miller. Okay, Patty Miller is from Alberta. She's from Calgary. She's an HR partner. She works with coach leaders, and she does executive coaching, and has got a very cool validated tool, a values based tool that I would love to learn more about and have you learn more about. So I've invited her to come and be a part of Workplace Wellness Hour as a guest speaker for our next show. So I've added Patty's LinkedIn in the chat box there, so you can have a look at her, the work that she's done, and it's an interesting tool. So I think what we'll have Patty do is just come talk about that tool, and then we'll have a nice discussion about how that can be used by leaders to improve well-being. So that's what that is. Coming up for me for the rest of the month, I'm actually doing a presentation for a university in Saudi Arabia at the end of the month. So that's going to be really cool. But it's at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you guys are going to be asleep. And as a leader, leading by example, no one's allowed to join that conversation. I'm just kidding. It is a closed door conversation, but I just was really excited to kind of share that we're doing a workshop for a hospital in Saudi Arabia. So that is cool. No new ambassadors, nothing new until the end of the month, just Workplace Wellness Hour. That's all I have. I'm just going to take it easy for the next 2 weeks, and the next blog will come out in the first week of May. That's it, Felipe.
All right. Well, make sure that you check out Jetty Wellness. I've got to put the QR code up, so I'm putting it up now. And I do want to encourage everyone to come check out Patty, because I think everyone's going to really benefit from hearing her speak. And we are going to have some great conversation with her. So as far as for me, my final thoughts on this is any recruiter, any leader that is trying to get clients or attract top talent, having the reputation of taking care of your employees now more than ever matters. Taking care of the human when AI is such a predominant focus in so many industries is becoming even more valuable. So if you want that competitive edge, make sure you highlight those things that you're doing for your staff and how you're focusing on their mental, physical, and financial wellness. Because I'm telling you from firsthand experience, I've gotten some of the best talent because they saw how much we cared. So as far as what I have coming up, I do have the, and you can find all these. Let me put my YouTube up on my YouTube channel. But I do have on next Saturday, the Social Saturday Chat crew will be having, I think it's our networking event. No, it's our second to last. So next Saturday, I'm not sure what the topic is, but come join us. If you want to network with a number of great people worldwide, it's going to be at 12 noon Eastern, and it's a Social Saturday Chat. And then on that Sunday, I have Careers, Chaos, and Coaching with none other than Melissa Houston. And we are going to be tackling that whole question about how AI hiring is impacting you and your workplace. Because a lot of people right now are submitting cover letters and resumes written by AI without them reading that draft, Samana. And when they show up and get that job, they're not able to do what they said they could do. And so we're going to be talking about that because it's becoming a real problem out there. And we're going to share some tips on how to keep an eye on and capture that, and how to prevent that from happening to you. So feel free to join us for that. And of course, I'll be back here in 2 weeks with Sumana for our wonderful conversation with our special guest, Patty. And as a reminder, Kofina Consulting is available and open for business. I will be posting about the website once that is complete and up and loaded. So with that being said, Sumana, thank you for just being you. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm glad that you and I are doing the rest of the season together. I really am.
Yay! I know it feels like, yeah, I'm so happy that, yes, we are going to be doing the rest of the show together. I'm glad this was restreaming on your YouTube channel. Felipe, it looks like a lot of folks were watching from there. Thank you for always having a backup. Yeah, mine for some reason didn't want to connect. So at least we had yours going and people were still able to join, which is amazing. And all the episodes, by the way, folks, if you're looking for the playlist for Workplace Wellness Hour, Felipe's YouTube channel has the entire playlist. So please go check it out. If you are wanting to like do a recap or pick up certain, sections and do a review of any of the content from, I don't know how many episodes are there, but there's tons of content for you to go watch it. I feel like the YouTube experience is a little bit better than the LinkedIn experience sometimes when you're just watching replays. And Felipe, thank you so much for all your efforts into putting this together. And I'm looking forward to coming back in 2 weeks with Patty. So that'll be fun. We'll chat in our DMs and kind of iron out what that title would be, but it will be something to do with leadership, values, a tool. That's about all I want to give away at this time.
I'm excited. I can't wait. And I know that a lot of you out there are going to be joining us. I will say that we did hit 200 comments again this time, so we're doing great there. And I will say also that I think, oh wait, where'd it go? I had it just up here a second ago. This was our 90th episode, Samana.
Oh,
so we are 10
God.
away from 100 episodes, you all. So stay tuned for more about that because we are going to do a huge thing for our 100th episode. Just wait. With that being said, everyone, thank you again so much for being here with us. We appreciate you. We hope that we see you in 2 weeks. And as always, remember to stay confident in what you know because you have a lot of experience. Be curious about what you don't know and go learn about it. Be grateful for what you have because you have more than others. Be compassionate to yourself and to others. And be tenacious as hell because you got this. With that being said, have a great day, everyone. Adios.
Bye.
United, together here we stand. Savannah and feel it, pay your workplace wellness hour band.
Where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold.
Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage, and elevate your game.
Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. Mental clarity, physical strength,
Definition inside.
tools and strategies that get it right. Real stories, real growth, real change that lasts.
Practical guidance that moves you fast.
Workplace wellness hour brings substance and spark. Together we flourish.
Together we make your mark. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage, and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth
In the frame.
So mark your calendar, answer the call.
Workplace wellness, practical magic for all.